I watched my sister's future mother-in-law laugh at me across the champagne table before she even knew my name. That laugh, sharp, dismissive, the kind that tells you someone has already decided you're beneath them, it echoed in my chest like a warning bell. I should have turned around right then. I should have known that stepping into that engagement party was going to cost me something I couldn't get back. But I didn't. Because the person getting engaged was my sister, Emma. And I loved her more than I feared being humiliated. I just didn't know yet how deep that humiliation would go. Or how satisfying it would feel when I finally made them choke on it. The party was at the Grand Meridian Hotel in downtown Chicago, one of those places with marble floors so shiny you can see your reflection, and chandeliers that cost more than most people's cars. Emma had been planning this night for months. She was marrying Derek Calloway, a guy she met at a charity gala 2 years ago. Nice enough. Polite. The kind of man who opens doors and remembers your coffee order. But his family? That was a different story. I arrived a little late, traffic on the Kennedy was a nightmare, and I slipped into the ballroom just as the toasts were starting. The room was full of people I didn't know. Derek's side of the family took up most of the space, his parents, his aunts and uncles, his older brother, a few cousins. They all had that same look, tailored suits, expensive watches, the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. Emma spotted me from across the room and waved. She looked beautiful. Her dress was soft pink, her hair curled perfectly. She was glowing. I smiled back and made my way toward her. That's when Derek's mother, Patricia Calloway, stepped into my path. "Oh," she said, looking me up and down. "You must be the other sister." "Not Emma's sister. Not Mandy. The other sister." Like I was a footnote. "That's me," I said, keeping my voice light. "Mandy. Nice to meet you." She didn't shake my hand. She just tilted her head, her smile thin and cold. "Emma's told us so much about you. You work in, what was it? Some kind of administrative role?" I felt my stomach tighten. Emma had probably told them I worked in business. But Patricia had already decided what that meant. "I work in corporate management," I said. She hummed, like I'd just confirmed something she suspected. "Well, that's nice. Everyone has to start somewhere. If this story hits home, tell me where you're watching from. I want to know I'm not alone in this." Here's what Patricia didn't know. What none of them knew. I didn't work in corporate management. I owned the company. Hartman Global Solutions. A mid-sized but rapidly growing tech and logistics firm that had contracts with half the Fortune 500. We had offices in 12 states, over 3,000 employees, and annual revenue in the hundreds of millions. And I was the sole owner. I built it from the ground up. Started when I was 24 with a small consulting gig and a laptop in my apartment. No investors. No partners. Just me, a lot of sleepless nights, and a refusal to quit. By the time I was 32, Hartman Global was a name people respected in boardrooms across the country. But I kept a low profile. I didn't do press. I didn't show up at galas or industry events unless I had to. I valued privacy. I valued control. And I valued the freedom to move through the world without people treating me like a walking dollar sign. Emma knew, of course. She was proud of me. But I'd asked her not to broadcast it. Not because I was ashamed, but because I wanted people to see me first. Not my bank account. Apparently, Derek's family had never bothered to ask. Patricia led me to a table near the back of the room. Not the family table. Not even close. This was the overflow table, the one for plus ones and distant acquaintances. "This is probably more comfortable for you," she said sweetly. "The main table is mostly for people in Derek's professional circle." "You understand." I understood perfectly. I just didn't argue. Not yet. I sat down. The table was half empty. A couple of Derek's college friends. An elderly aunt who barely spoke. And me. From across the room, I could see the main table. Derek's father, Richard Calloway, was holding court. His brother, Kyle, was laughing loudly, gesturing with his wine glass. Patricia was back at Derek's side, whispering something in his ear. Emma looked uncomfortable, but she smiled anyway. I pulled out my phone and pretended to check my email. I wasn't going to let them see me rattled. About 20 minutes in, Richard Calloway stood up to give a toast. He tapped his glass, and the room went quiet. "I want to welcome everyone here tonight," he began, his voice booming. "This is a special occasion. Not just because my son is marrying a wonderful woman, though Emma, you are a gem, but because this union represents two families coming together. Two families who understand the value of hard work, integrity, and success." I felt my jaw tighten. He went on. "Derek works at Hartman Global Solutions, one of the premier companies in the logistics and tech space. He's in their marketing division, and let me tell you, he's moving up fast." Patricia and I couldn't be prouder. My breath caught. "Hartman Global. My company." He kept going. "And Kyle here," he gestured to Derek's brother, who grinned smugly. "Kyle's in their operations department. Also doing incredible work. The Calloways have a strong presence at Hartman Global, and we're building a legacy there." The table erupted in applause. Patricia beamed. Derek looked embarrassed but didn't correct his father. I sat frozen. They worked for me. Both of them. And they had no idea. After the toast, Patricia made her way back to my table. She sat down across from me, folding her hands like a concerned aunt. "Mandy," she said softly, "I hope you don't feel out of place here. I know these corporate events can be intimidating if you're not in that world." I blinked. "I'm fine. Thank you. It's just that Emma's told us you've had a bit of a unconventional career path." "Nothing wrong with that, of course. Not everyone is cut out for high-stakes business. Tap like so this story reaches someone who needs it. Trust me, you'll want to see where this goes." I felt the heat rising in my chest. "I've done well for myself." "I'm sure you have," she said, her smile never reaching her eyes. "But it's important to be realistic, you know? Emma's marrying into a family with real influence. Real connections. Derek and Kyle are both at Hartman Global, that's one of the top companies in the industry. They're positioned to do incredible things." "I'm aware," I said quietly. "Good," she said. "I just want to make sure you understand that this is a different world. Emma's going to be part of something bigger now. And we'll take care of her. You don't have to worry about that." It was the way she said "you don't have to worry," like I was a burden being lifted. Like I was irrelevant. I smiled. "I appreciate your concern." She stood up, patted my shoulder like I was a child, and walked away. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I just sat there, my hands folded in my lap, watching them laugh and toast and celebrate. Derek's cousin came over at one point. So, what do you do? He asked. I work in business, I said. Oh, cool. What kind? Logistics and tech. Nice. You should apply at Hartman Global. That's where Derek and Kyle work. They're hiring. I almost laughed. Almost. I'll keep that in mind, I said. Comment if you've ever felt this kind of betrayal, when people look right through you because they think you're nobody. By the time Emma came over to check on me, I was done. Done pretending. Done smiling. Mandy, she whispered, sitting down beside me. Are you okay? You look upset. I'm fine, I lied. Patricia can be a lot. I'm sorry if she said something. She said plenty. Emma's face fell. I didn't know they were going to be like this. I swear. I looked at her. My little sister. The one I'd protected my whole life. Did you tell them what I do? She hesitated. I said you worked in business. They didn't ask for details. They didn't ask because they didn't care, I said. They decided who I was the second I walked in. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'll talk to them. Don't, I said. I'll handle it. I left the party early. I didn't say goodbye. I just walked out, got in my car, and drove home in silence. When I got to my apartment, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch in the dark. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Please don't be mad. I love you. I wasn't mad at her. I was mad at them. At their arrogance. At their assumptions. At the way they'd looked at me like I was nothing. And then I thought about Derek. About Kyle. About the fact that they worked for me. That I could pull up their employee files right now if I wanted to. That I had the power to end their careers with a single phone call. But I didn't want to be vindictive. I wanted to be smart. So I made a plan. The next morning, I called my COO, Jennifer. She'd been with me since the beginning. She knew how I operated. Jen, I said, I need you to pull the employee files for Derek Calloway and Kyle Calloway. Marketing and operations, respectively. Everything okay? She asked. Just doing some research. She sent them over within the hour. I read through every page. Performance reviews. Project reports. Salary information. Derek was average. Solid, but nothing special. He did his job, stayed on time, didn't make waves. Kyle, on the other hand, was a problem. Multiple complaints from colleagues about unprofessional behavior. A few warnings about missed deadlines. One formal write-up for inappropriate comments during a team meeting. I sat back in my chair and smiled. I wasn't going to fire them. That would be too easy. Too obvious. No, I was going to let them humiliate themselves. 2 weeks later, Hartman Global held its annual leadership retreat in Denver. It was a 3-day event for department heads, senior managers, and high performers. I always attended, but I usually stayed in the background. I'd give a short speech, shake a few hands, and let my executives do the rest. This year, I decided to be more visible. I made sure Derek and Kyle were both invited. They weren't senior enough to normally attend, but I had their managers nominate them as rising stars. They were thrilled. Emma called me the night before the retreat. Derek's so excited, she said. He thinks this is his big break. I'm glad, I said. And I meant it. For his sake. The retreat started with a welcome breakfast. I sat at the head table with my COO, CFO, and VP of Operations. Derek and Kyle were at a table near the back. After breakfast, I took the stage. "Good morning, everyone," I said into the microphone. "For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mandy Hartman. I'm the founder and owner of Hartman Global Solutions." The room went silent. I saw Derek's face go pale. Kyle looked confused. I continued. "I want to thank you all for being here. This company wouldn't exist without your hard work, your dedication, and your belief in what we're building. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together." I paused, letting my words settle. I also want to take a moment to address something personal. A few weeks ago, I attended my sister's engagement party. Some of you may know her. She's marrying Derek Calloway, one of our marketing associates. Derek looked like he wanted to disappear. At that party, I was told by Derek's family that I should be grateful my sister was marrying into a family with real influence. That I should understand this was a different world. That I wasn't cut out for high-stakes business. The room was dead silent. Subscribe for more stories like this one, because I promise, the ending is worth it. "What they didn't know," I said, my voice steady, "is that I built this company. I own it. And Derek and Kyle both work for me." Kyle stood up, his face red. "This is..." "Sit down," I said calmly. "I'm not finished." He sat. "I'm not telling you this to embarrass anyone," I continued. "I'm telling you this because assumptions are dangerous. Because arrogance blinds you. And because respect should never be conditional on someone's perceived status." I looked directly at Derek. "You're a good employee, Derek. You do solid work. But your family's behavior at that party was unacceptable. And if you want to be part of this company long-term, you'll need to make sure they understand that." Derek nodded, his face pale. I stepped down from the stage. After the retreat, Derek called me. His voice was shaking. "Mandy, I'm so sorry. I had no idea they said those things. I'm mortified." "You should be," I said. "But I'm not interested in punishing you, Derek. I'm interested in making sure this doesn't happen again." "It won't. I promise." "Good. Because Emma deserves better. And so do I." Patricia called me 2 days later. She didn't apologize. She tried to defend herself. "I didn't mean any harm," she said. "I was just trying to make conversation." "You belittled me," I said flatly. "You dismissed me. You treated me like I was worthless." "I didn't know." "You didn't ask," I interrupted. "And that's the problem." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, finally, she said, "I'm sorry." "Thank you," I said. And I hung up. Emma came to my apartment a week later. She brought coffee and pastries, her peace offering. "I'm sorry," she said. "I should have stood up for you." "You're not responsible for them," I said. "But I need you to know, I won't tolerate being treated like that again. Not by them. Not by anyone." "I know," she said. "And I've talked to Derek. He's talked to his family. They know now." "Good," I said. "Because I love you, Emma. But I won't shrink myself to make other people comfortable." She hugged me. "I wouldn't want you to. Here's what I learned from all of this. People will judge you. They'll make assumptions based on how you dress, where you sit, what you say, or don't say. They'll decide you're not worth their time before they even know your name. And you can't control that. But you can control how you respond. You can stay silent and let them underestimate you. Or you can rise up and show them exactly who you are. I chose the latter. Not because I wanted revenge, though I won't lie, it felt good, but because I refused to let their arrogance define me. If you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever been dismissed, if you've ever walked into a room and felt invisible, this one's for you. Don't let them make you small. Don't let them convince you you're less than you are. You're not the footnote in someone else's story. You're the author of your own. If this resonated with you, drop a comment and let me know. And if you want more stories like this, stories about standing up, speaking out, and taking back your power, hit that subscribe button. Because I've got plenty more where this came from. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.